If that was his plan, why he called the police? Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae, if you didn't know, and today's video is another true crime episode. So if you're ready, let's go. So as y'all can see, I'm outside today, and that's for a couple of different reasons. One, because my son was home sick from school, and I didn't want to interrupt him, like, because he in the living room watching TV, and that's usually where I be filming at. And number two, I'm fresh off vacation, and I still want to be outside. And I did not get a tan like I thought I was going to get. And so I'm trying to kind of get a little bit of a tan now, which is kind of a bust because it's actual shade up under here. I thought it was still going to be some type of sunlight. It's not, but neither here nor there. And this could prove to be a bad idea. But I'm out here now, so we'll see. But yeah, I am back from vacation, and y'all, I had such a good time. I actually got to experience, like, not the touristy part of DR, but the actual towns and stuff. So first I was in the capital, Santo Domingo, and then I went to my friend's hometown, which is Samaná. I kept saying it wrong. I think it's Samaná. Samaná. It was so much fun. I had such a good time, but I am so happy to be home though. And look, so here are the nails that I had whilst I was in DR, and as y'all can see, they are all gone now. I was out there for 7 days. They lasted the whole trip, but as soon as I got to the airport, one of them popped off, and so they all had to go. And yeah, other than that, let's go ahead and get into this case. And so today we're going to be talking about Alexander Kraus. And I've heard his name pronounced a couple of different ways. I've heard Kraus, Cross, Crow, but the main pronunciation that I heard was Kraus. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Alexander Kraus. But before we talk about him, we got to go back. We got to take it back through his lineage. And we're going to start with a man named Dennis Kraus. And Dennis Kraus was born on July 29th, 1944 in Appleton, Wisconsin to his parents, Elmer and Elvira Kraus. And he had two brothers, Robert and Ronald Kraus. And unfortunately, there's not really much known about his upbringing. But what is known is that he graduated from Menasha High School in 1962. And immediately after he graduated high school, he enlisted in the Air Force. And at some point, like during his first couple of years in the Air Force, he was stationed in Fort Riley, Kansas. And it was in Fort Riley, Kansas where he met the love of his life, whose name was Letha Long. And Letha was born on November 12th, 1945 in Abilene, Kansas to her parents Burden and Doris Long. And Letha had a sister named Lois, and she also had a brother whose name was Dwight, but unfortunately he passed away. I'm not really sure when or how, but she did have a brother who passed away. And again, there's not much known about Letha's upbringing, but she did graduate from Hope High School in 1963. And post-graduation, she would begin working in Fort Riley, Kansas. I don't know where she was working at, but she started working in Fort Riley, Kansas, and this is where she met the love of her life, Dennis Kraus. And Letha and Dennis will get married on April 4th, 1965. And at some point, they will move back to Dennis's hometown of Appleton and will have two kids together, two little boys named Charles and Dean. Now, while the two of them was raising their kids, Letha would end up pursuing a nursing degree, and she would end up working as a nurse until her retirement in 2010. And Dennis worked at Miller Electric, which was a welding and cutting equipment manufacturing company. Y'all, that was so hard for me to say. And I'm guessing he was a welder. I'm not really sure what his position was at this job, but he did work here until he retired in 2001. And it said that as a couple, the two of them enjoyed camping, traveling, and spending time with family. And outside of the things that they like to do as a couple, it said that Letha enjoyed quilting and gardening, and Dennis enjoyed hunting and working with his hands and building stuff. Now, from Letha and Dennis's two children, they would end up with 6 grandchildren, and one of those grandchildren's name was Alexander Kraus, and he was the son to their son Charles and his wife Shannon. So Shannon and Charles are Alexander's mom and dad, and Alexander is Dennis and Letha's grandson. Makes sense? And he was born on March 18, 2002 in Wisconsin as well. And once again, there is not a lot known about his upbringing. But what I do know is that it is said that he had mental issues, his dad's words, not mine, and that he was behind. Whether that's developmentally or academically, I don't really know. Now we're going to jump to 2019, and Alex is 17 years old, and it's the weekend of April 14th, and Alex, who lives in Neenah with his parents, is visiting his grandparents who live in Grand Chute, Wisconsin, which is really only like a 20-minute, no more than a 20-minute drive between the cities. Like I said, he's visiting his grandparents on the weekend of April 14th, 2019, when police get a call to do a welfare check at Letha and Dennis's home on West Edgewood Drive. Now, I've seen and heard a couple of things in regards to this phone call. There was one said that it was a welfare check, like somebody called to do a welfare check on the couple's home. And then there was another report that said that it wasn't a welfare check call, but somebody had called, said that people were dead inside. But either way, the police do arrive to the residence, and upon entry, they find Letha and Dennis in the kitchen area, and they're both deceased from apparent gunshot wounds. And so, of course, they have to clear the home now because this is essentially a crime scene. They don't know if there's other victims in the home, if a potential killer is still in the home, a burglar, or, you know, they just don't know. So they got to clear the scene. And during the securing of the scene, they do actually find a third person who's in the house, which is obviously Alex, because like I said, he was visiting his grandparents that weekend and he is unharmed. And so they ended up taking him down to the station for questioning, where Alex actually admits to being the one who killed his grandparents. I'm pretty sure y'all saw that coming, right? Right. So Alex is at the police station and he done confessed to being the one who killed his grandparents. So the police secure a search warrant to be able to search the house to gather evidence, because they've charged him with double homicide at this point and now they need to collect evidence. And so during the execution of this search warrant, police find in a bedroom a backpack with a red folder and a book about an executioner. And if that's not disturbing enough, inside of the red folder was about 8 or more pages of a typed up, like, it wasn't a manifesto. It was like a detailed plan. It was Alex's typed out plan of killing his grandparents, in addition to doing a school shooting at Nina High School that he was a junior at the time. So this was his plan the whole time. But what I don't understand, because I didn't tell y'all this already, but Alex was the one who called the police. So whether it was a welfare check or if it was just to say that he had killed somebody, like, why would you call the police if you had a whole plan? I mean, I'm glad he called the police, because obviously, you know, that means that they captured him and that he didn't carry out the school shooting. But if that was his plan, why he called the police? Anyways, after his arrest and during all his arraignments and court appearances and stuff like that, he initially pleaded not guilty by reason of mental illness or defect. But it was essentially determined that Alex did in fact have a mental illness, but that he knew right from wrong. And so he was able to be tried for this case. He wasn't mentally incompetent. He wasn't about to go to no mental institution, because he knew what the hell he was doing. So because it was determined that he knew right from wrong, he ended up pleading guilty to both counts of intentional homicide in 2020. And so he wouldn't have to go to trial, but they would have to have a sentencing hearing so that the judge could determine how long he would be imprisoned for. And at this sentencing hearing, his mom and his dad, the dad whose parents he killed, both said that prison would not benefit Alex. They both felt like Alex should be institutionalized and get the help that he needed, because that's what Dennis and Letha would have wanted. But the judge really wasn't hearing none of that. I mean, he listened to what they had to say, but at the end of the day, he ended up sentencing Alex to life in prison for both charges of intentional homicide, with the possibility of parole after 20 years for each count. So essentially, he was sentenced to 2 life sentences and couldn't be eligible for parole for 40 years. And he was 20 at the time of his sentencing, so a baby boy ain't eligible for parole till he's 60. And I honestly think the fact that Alex planned this and had been planning it for 18 months and then executed a portion of his plan is what did it for the judge. Like, you knew what you was doing because you planned it. You typed it out. You sat and thought about this. You wrote it down. I really think that's pretty much what sealed Alex's fate as far as sentencing was concerned. And Alex never gave a motive for killing his grandparents, but the prosecutors think that he killed them because he wanted to gain access to his grandfather's guns without question, in order to carry out the second part of his plan, which was to carry out a school shooting on Nina High School. And if I'm being honest, I can almost without a shadow of a doubt say that Alex's end game was to unalive himself after he did the school shooting, but he pussed out, and that's why he ended up calling the police. But that's just what I think. I don't know for real. And you know what? The only positive thing, if you can even call it that, to come out of this is the fact that Letha and Dennis didn't have to live without one another. Like, neither one of them had to deal with the pain of losing the other one, because they had been married for 54 years. And I'm pretty sure they had a whole lot of life left, but they had to have a bitch ass grandson named Alex to come and take that all away from them. But neither here nor there. I mean, I don't know them personally, but for them to have been married that long and still be in love and not to have any reported, like, obviously outside of the regular woes of marriage, they weren't like about to get a divorce or nothing like that. I feel like maybe this is the way they might have wanted to go. I don't mean being, gunned down by their grandson, but in terms of passing away together. Because quite frankly, I would want to die with my husband, as far as like maybe like not like they did, but like in the Notebook type of situation, because I don't see a life without him. But yeah, y'all, that is all I have for today's case. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about this case. Tell me if y'all think that Alex intended on offing himself and pussed out, or it. Just let me know what y'all think in the comments. Thank you all so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. I wonder if my neighbor's watching me. Ain't nobody looking at me, girl. Shut up. It was Alex's plan. Did y'all see that? And so I'm trying to like, what I'm trying to do? Ooh, it's a bee. The fuck away from me. After he did the school shooting, but he pussied up. Ooh.